worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. Today's not even done yet, right? So why don't you think about today? Well, good morning. This is Mike Howard. Welcome to another edition of the Art of Ronin Leadership podcast. And I'm actually doing this on the Monday after Christmas. So we have a few more days before New Year's Eve and New Year's in the beginning of 2022. Hard to believe that we're on the cusp of a new year. I trust all of you had a wonderful holiday season so far. Whether you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or just enjoy the holidays. Hope you had time with your friends and your family, especially after last year when so many people couldn't travel to see their loved ones. And this year, at least, you were able to hopefully get out. And if you needed to travel to see your relatives or if they came to see you, hopefully that happened. We had a really nice, quiet Christmas and Christmas Eve and Christmas with our relatives and hung out with friends. December was a really great month because we had a lot of visitors in town that whether it's from Microsoft or from the security industry. So got to get together and break bread and make merry with a lot of good friends and colleagues. Again, if you like the podcast to date, please go ahead and click the subscribe button there on the screen and give us your feedback, which we always appreciate so we can make the podcast better. This is kind of a holiday edition of the podcast. It's not going to be full blown. I'm going to make it kind of short in keeping with the season. But I've been thinking about what I want to talk about at the end of the year. And as I reflect upon the end of the year, my wife just passed by with our new dog, Kiku, and that actually brings a smile to my face. I kind of actually will go into a little bit about the podcast, but trying to think about what I want to talk about. This is a podcast primarily about leadership, but obviously, we can talk about a lot of different things. And I think what I want to just talk about for a few minutes is reflecting on the year and the things that we've faced as a nation and in the world when it comes to pandemic. Now we've got the Omicron variant, which is contagious. Apparently it's not as deadly, especially for those who are vaccinated, but that seems to be the standard. If you're vaccinated, you have more protection. But at the end of the day, you have that. You had wild swings in the stock market this last month. A lot of angst and fears about not just Omicron, but certainly supply chain issues and how that was going to affect Christmas. And what was interesting was reading the paper today that this was from a buying perspective, it was a success. People were buying. I think there was a lot of pent up desire to get out there and spend money and buy gifts and do the things that we couldn't do perhaps as robustly a year ago. But we've got a lot of things going on in the world. There's my wife is a former flight attendant. She always says she's glad she's not flying now. I think the FAA reported over 5,000 incidents this year of unruly passengers, whether they're drunk or just don't want to wear a mask, whatever it is. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the world, and if you let yourself dwell on those things, you could actually get depressed or have anxiety. And what I want to propose to you for 2022 is not necessarily resolution. Resolutions come and go. Everybody, you make a resolution to get fit, lose X amount of weight, to do this, to do that. And as we've undoubtedly have all read, most resolutions never see the light of day past January, February, right? Kind of get back into old habits. But one of the things we can resolve to do is to kind of take stock of what you as a person can do to make society better and make maybe the angst level better. I've taken a break this month from just watching the news all the time. I get my news from a lot of different sources. I certainly don't spend a lot of time watching news on TV because it tends to be sensationalized. I had a conversation at dinner the other night with some friends, and we kind of ruminated on the fact that if you turn on the nightly news, there's very little good news. It's always whatever it is. It's like, the world's going to end, or it's the worst. Omicron is the worst thing since sliced bread, which they said, about Delta, a year ago. And you could just kind of think about that all the time, because what you think about, especially from a leadership perspective, what you think about is kind of what manifests itself, right? So I've been actually enjoying this month watching, as my wife could attest to, a lot of QVC, a lot of HSN, a lot of Food Network, a lot of Christmas movies, just things that get your mind off of kind of what's going on in the world. But the idea is that you're not hiding from the realities of the world. It's just how you deal with it. And as we go into 2022, I've been I think I've told you before, I believe in the Bible. I'm a believer. And also I've been a student of Stoicism for a little while. And there are some parallels between the two in terms of your attitude towards life. Life isn't really meant to be easy. Life is going to throw you curveballs. We've had a number of friends who have had health ailments this last year, came out of nowhere. We've seen a few, things happening. And so if you get it into your head that you can still enjoy life, even though life will sometimes throw you a curveball and life can be hard at times, if you just put it in your head that you own your reaction to the external forces that are around you, whether it's the news, whether it's, people who are negative all the time, whatever happens, there are certain things that are outside your control. And just like from a leadership perspective, I always have said, you control what you can control. What you can't control, you can react one or two ways to it, right? In a negative or positive way. And so as a citizen of this planet, as a human being, you have a responsibility to society on trying to make things better all around. And whether that means being able, from a political discourse point of view, being able to listen to the viewpoints of someone else that has a diametrically opposed political opinion than you, and not think that they're a racist or a sexist or some other kind of ist, but you're just having a conversation, that would go a long way. I saw on the few times I did watch the news this month, there was a piece about, they did a survey of, some organization did a survey of college students around the United States, and a significant number of them said they would not date somebody who had political beliefs that were not aligned with theirs, which is sad, right? Because at the end of the day, this country was founded on really rigorous political discourse. Yeah, you don't have to agree with me, but just because I disagree with your political opinion doesn't make me a monster, right? But too many people, whether you're on the right or the left, whatever part of the political spectrum you align with, you get into tribes. And so anything that goes against that tribe, they're the enemy, as opposed to we're having a debate and let's come to a reasoned, kind of path forward, right? You see that manifesting itself now, even in Congress, where Senator Joe Manchin said he won't sign on to the Build Back Better bill that the Biden administration is posing, and a lot of people in this party basically calling him a traitor, and it's unconstitutional. But they don't understand that this country was founded on people like Manchin that are willing to stand up for their beliefs. Whether you believe he's right or not, he's standing up for what he thinks is right. And I think that should be respected. And then you have the debate, and then you come to a common ground of where we can go forward as a political entity, in this case Congress, or as a people. So I think one of the things we can collectively resolve to do is not just put labels on everybody. In 2022, let's make sure that as we're having disagreements on policy or other issues, that we don't make it, I hate you because you are a Republican, or I hate you because you're a Democrat. Let's just have a debate and an argument. You may be viscerally opposed to my political beliefs, but those are my beliefs. That's what this country is founded on. And so you should respect that part of it, and then we can kind of debate and see if we can come to common ground. That will go a long way, I think, to settling a lot of the angst in this country, because we are a divided country. And you can't look to government for solutions. Ronald Reagan talked about government not being able to solve the problems. That they are the problem, and in many respects they are. And so I think it's up to the individuals, each of us, to look inwardly to see how we can make things better in our society, in the way we talk, in the way we comport ourselves, and the way we view people that may not have the same opinions, that we do. I think another thing that we can do is have respect. I think we have lost a lot of the ability to just have respect. The things you're seeing on the airlines, where passengers are willing to wear masks, or they're drinking too much and they're getting into fights, and there's no respect, or very little respect that there used to be for instance, when I was growing up. It wasn't a perfect era, but you were taught respect, and you were taught how to act, around other people. And I think we've lost that. And so you see a very me-centric kind of society where it's all about me. And if I don't get what I want, then I have the ability to strike out, because it's all about me. Well, it's not about you. I don't believe in this collective, socialist thing either, right? But I do believe, again, as a good citizen of the United States, as a good citizen of this world, you have a responsibility to your fellow citizen to treat people with respect, and think before you act. It's not all about you. Everything's not about you. The world doesn't revolve around you. And you'll soon find that out when things get out of control and you find out you can't control certain things, right? So have respect. I can't tell you how many times I have seen, and it's not just young people, it's some older folks too, which they should know better. Let's say, my wife and I are walking around and going to get into an elevator, and guys just go into the elevator and don't wait for the lady. People may say that's old fashioned. I say that's a sign of respect, that you let women in first and you go in second, or holding a door open, or little things like that. You don't see much of that anymore. And that's just a small manifestation of this whole thing called respect. And I think if you had more respect for each other in this world, it would make this world a lot better place, And I think that goes a long way. And that's also part and parcel of leadership, having respect for your team, having respect for your bosses, having respect for the institution that you work for. And you may not always agree with everything, but having that kind of respect, I think, is very important. I also think that we as a people can try to learn to be more resilient. And one of the ways to be more resilient is to really count your blessings and count the things that you have versus what you don't have. There's a lot of folks in society like to, play up how bad everything is, and the haves and have-nots, and kind of woe is me, and everything's bad. Well, there are a lot of things that are bad that's going on in the world. But again, being resilient, being able to say, okay, things are bad, but again, internally, let me think, how do I counter that? I have my health. I have a roof over my head. I have a car to drive. I may have several cars to drive. If you don't have a car, I have money to take the bus or whatever, right? If you're lucky, you have family and friends. You may have a TV. If you have a TV in the house, you have a refrigerator. The refrigerator has food in it. Those are blessings. You can find any number of reasons to talk about what's wrong with your life or what's wrong in the world or what society has done to you or what you think they've done to you. And that makes you a lot less resilient. Leadership is a lot about being resilient and looking at, okay, so it's not about from a business perspective, what I can't do. It's what I can't do. Can do. So think about that as you go into 2022. Those things that we're facing right now around the world and in the U.S. that are problem things or things that we got to deal with, they're still going to be there. Hopefully, they'll be mitigated, like the virus, COVID, and other things will be mitigated over a period of time, like the supply chain and a lot of issues. It just takes time. But, New Year's Eve and then into New Year's Day, these things aren't going to magically disappear. They'll still be there. You'll make merry on New Year's Eve and then the same problems in the world are still going to be there. How you face them, how you view them, and how you value what you have versus what you don't have will help define how you actually deal with the next year. It's not just about positive thinking. We all have bad days. We all have days that we think, oh man, nothing's going right today, right? And that's okay. That's fine. It happens. But you have to make a conscious effort to think about things. Whether it's you're journaling about affirmations and good things that are happening to you, whether you think about it, whether you pray, or whatever it is. There's something that you can be grateful for. We know people that are just perpetually negative about everything because they've allowed the world to define how they react. And the idea is that you define how you react to the world. And so I think being resilient and having a thankful, grateful attitude will go a long way. Again, not just for yourself and your own well-being, but also for society. Just think if we had a society of people that were really grateful and thankful, not just on Thanksgiving, but more days of the year than not. What would their attitude be like? What would business meetings look like? How would political debates take place? I don't know. I would think more for the positive, right? So that's another thing that you personally can do in your own world to make things better. And I think that the last thing is, because I said I was going to make this one short, as all of you know, there was a phrase I like to quote from the late General Colin Powell, where he would say, "It'll look better in the AM." And he wasn't saying it to mean that, again, like I said a few minutes ago, the problems of today won't be there tomorrow. But upon reflection, you'll see that today's problems, tomorrow morning, you may look at it with a different eye. You may look at it with more resolve to tackle that issue and settle that problem. Because it will look better in the AM. Things do get better, right? Peaks and valleys. There are valleys, but there will always be peaks. And so, again, it's a mindset on how you view yourself, how you view life, and how you view circumstances. Everything's not going to be hunky-dory, but things will get better. It will look better in the AM. And if you can think about life that way, and again, We're humans. We're going to react. We have emotions. We're going to feel sad. We're going to feel mad. We're going to feel frustrated. We're going to feel some angst. But if those things are an anomaly, because you've been able to change your mind and change your heart and think about the positive things that are going on in your life, and think about those things, I guarantee you it'll do a lot for you, your mental health, your physical health, actually, because a lot of things that are happening to people physically is because of stress and stress-related, diseases and things that are happening because body reacts to stress. So things will get better, in the AM. Let's make, let's say, I'd like to hear from you in terms of, after listening to this, what are the things that you think you can do for yourself, for your family, if you have family and friends, and for society to try to make 2022 a better place, not just for you, but for everybody? Knowing that those problems that I've talked about are still going to be there, and there'll be new problems that crop up in 2022. That's just part of life. What can you do? What can you do individually and then maybe collectively to all of us to make things better for our society? There are enough pundits out there talking about what's wrong with the world, or what's wrong with certain people, certain political beliefs, certain religious beliefs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's great. That's wonderful. We have enough divisiveness in this country. We don't need more. That old phrase, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. It's probably true. Being able to get away from yourself, and it's all about you, to how can you help somebody else? Can you volunteer? Can you support a charity? Can you adopt a kid, like Save the Children, or in our case, World Vision? Whatever you can do, serve on a food bank. When you give of yourself to other folks, then it becomes less about you. You start seeing the problems from the perspective of other people who may have less than you do. And I think you're less inclined to think about yourself all the time and think about what are the good things you have, how blessed you are, especially to live in a country like the United States with all of its issues. There's no other country in the world that people want to come to more than the U.S., and there's a reason for that. Because we're free. You are able to build yourself up by the bootstraps and get ahead. We have a democracy that can be messy at times, but it's a democracy. And I'd rather live under this form of government and political system than any other. And so we have a lot to be thankful for as we go into 2022. Don't bury your head in the sand. One thing about Stoicism and the Bible is that you deal with problems as is, head on. I think the Bible quotes that don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will have its own troubles. Suffice it to say that you just deal with what you have today, and that's a great philosophy. And Stoicism is the same way. I can't fix what happened in the past unless I need to apologize to somebody for a slight that I did to them and I was responsible for. Other than that, there's nothing I can do about things in the past, so I don't dwell on those. Certainly, from a strategic point of view, you need to think ahead if you're a leader for your business. But I'm not talking about that. I'm really talking about worry and worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. Today's not even done yet, right? So why don't you think about today? We're talking recently with some friends again, and there was some incident where someone was going to work and hit by a car and they died. Well, that person woke up in the morning thinking that, hey, it's going to be another day, an ordinary day, and they didn't make it through that day. The point is not to be morbid, and hopefully all of us or most of us are going to live a long, healthy, thriving life. But nothing's a given. So learn to live in the now, to enjoy today. I'm enjoying doing this podcast. Earlier today, I enjoyed, we were training our puppy for a little bit. And I'm going to go see a friend later today. And it's not, again, every day is not, some nirvana, but you can enjoy your day. Even in the midst of problems, you can enjoy your day and live in the now, right? And because tomorrow is not guaranteed, or the next day. So think about these things. And I think if you kind of wrap your head around some of the things I talked about, you can go into 2022 with renewed vigor to be better as a person, but also to do more for your fellow man and women on this planet, to try to make a positive difference. If you can't think that way, then it's just going to be everything's negative, and then things will manifest itself that way, right? And you don't want that to happen. You can be part of the solution, and so that's just basically what I wanted to talk about today. It was more waxing philosophical today than straight on leadership, but I thought it was important that I just get my thoughts out there. There's just too much negativity out there, and we don't have to bury our heads in the sand, but we also can be part of the solution. But it all starts right here with you. And if you resolve to be part of the solution, and if you resolve to think about your attitude towards your fellow human being, to have respect, to think about all the blessings that you have in life versus the things that have happened to you or that you don't have. If you can tackle the world that way and live in the now and enjoy today with your friends and your family and whomever you have, I think that goes a long way. And I believe in exponential power, the power of a person and then another person, and then things get done and things are better. So think about that as we roll into 2022. I have high expectations for 2022. And I know that I personally am thinking myself about things that I could do better internally, but also externally to make a positive difference in myself, my family, as well as our society. So have a wonderful New Year's celebration wherever you are, and this is a wonderful time of year because things are a little bit slower from a business perspective. A lot of people are off work. You have time to reflect and think about things, and not only that, you have time to think, just to relax and to enjoy the now. We'll be back with you in the new year with new podcasts, and we'll hit it hard. We've got some great lineup of guests that have agreed to be on the podcast, so that's exciting. We're really enjoying doing this podcast. Thank you for the feedback you've given to us. Again, if you like the podcast, please hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget to go on MikeHowardAuthor.com if you get the chance. Pick up a copy of Art of Ronin Leadership. I've gotten some really good feedback on this. You can get it from the website. You can get it from Amazon.com. And I'm currently working on an audio book as we speak. So I've got things all ready to go. I just need to go ahead and narrate the book. So have a very happy new year. And let's have a successful, blessed, and happy 2022. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.